All right, welcome back to the Puck Pod, BD Sports Puck Pod, episode 69. Some might say this is a very nice episode. It's also an Easter episode, one day before Easter,
Pretty
the eve of
nice.
Easter.
Yeah,
Pretty
Easter's
nice.
all Easter's Eve, baby.
Yeah,
This is
everybody
when the
celebrates
uh
that.
the Easter bunny comes out of hibernation and he lays eggs all through your house. Try to make
Of course.
what's that Christmas is that twas the night before Christmas there?
Twas the night. Yeah,
Twas the
you
nice
can never
night before
forget
Easter.
twas.
Yeah.
Anytime there's the use of twas, it's tough to get out of your mind. Dave, what do we do this week, man? How have you been? I
I
know I see you every day, but what did we do? What have we done?
I don't even remember what we did this week.
I
We did a
mean,
lot of work. Oh, I know what we did this
yeah,
week. We went to Mississauga. We went to the
yeah,
Raptors 905 game, saw them win one of their what are they on the season? 12 and like 24 or something ridiculous like that.
yeah. It's like 12 and 21 or something. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not
ridiculous.
good.
They're not great.
It's not much better than, or not much worse than the Raptors. Like honestly, like that was a pretty entertaining game. I think I'd
Yeah.
rather go watch a 905 game than a Raptors game, and that's without like getting price involved. Like if you're just
Yeah.
talking straight entertainment value, honestly, I might be heading down to the Paramount Fine Food Center instead of the SBA, man.
Well,
So I'm
listen.
sorry game for us. Yeah,
Maybe not where we sat, but
correct.
yeah, those
Yeah,
those boxes are definitely not quite as luxury as the ones in the SBA. No offense to the Paramount Center, but and we also got the pleasure of going to a game with at least 5,000 screaming children. That's always the best. Don't
hey,
you love that?
that's the second time too, right? It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I thought they were louder this game than at the Marlies game.
Oh, miles by
Um,
miles.
and yeah, my biggest takeaway was just these kids dance to everything, anything and everything, man. It was
It's
hilarious to watch.
they are
Hilarious.
quite literally the TikTok generation. Every
Yeah,
single song
yeah.
that came on that me and you both have heard from TikTok, they sung, they did the dances to. I wasn't even fully paying attention because I was like focused on my work, but like I just remember hearing that Travis Scott. So I feel it's so old saying this. Hearing the Travis Scott song Fiend come on and the whole arena just going like they were always like a half second behind the song. So you would hear the track going, Fiend, Fiend, and then just like 5,000 kids going, Fiend, 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 like
Yeah.
just a half second behind every single time. I'm like, oh my God, what are we
Yeah.
doing here? Cute,
Listen,
but sure.
it added to the challenge for us. Like we were there to do an assignment. So yeah, not the most, not the greatest. Actually, no. Like I said, good atmosphere in terms of a
Yeah.
challenge. If we do anything else this week, our fantasy baseball started up because well, like the baseball season started, so there's been a little bit of that.
Oh
I think I took
man,
a peek at Dave's team.
I'm
Yeah,
absolutely mollywhopping the guy I'm
yeah,
playing against right now.
it's 8-0 right now, I think.
I
Last I
it
checked,
went down
right?
to
It's
7-0 because
oh,
we're tied on
ooh,
stolen bases.
fair enough, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I have not held the lead all week yet. I think I got it to 5-4. Like I'm down 5-4. So it's gonna go to the wire. I feel pretty good about my team. You gotta feel good about your team after like these past like 3 days. Like, oh my
I
God.
love it.
If I was playing you, I'd be
Especially
down 8-0 too. Yeah.
yeah, especially against like the guy that I'm playing like I didn't want to say anything and I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to leave it till next pod. I will save it till next podcast. We'll because I think that's the official end of week 1.
Yeah.
It lasts 2
Yeah.
weeks. So we'll save it to the next podcast. Right now, I'm up 7-0. If I retain like 7-0, 8-0, 7-1, like if I'm up big,
If it's
I'm coming back on this pod and I'm letting the other guy have it on here. Okay. That's all I'm saying.
all right, say less. We'll leave the baseball talk for next episode then. Jay's lost today. Lost 2 games in a row here, but yeah, we'll do maybe some Jay stuff next week and beyond. Let's go to hockey. This is a rare occurrence for us. We're recording at night. We used to do this honestly at the beginning, and then we switched it up to the weekend. So We've got a rare like post game pod here right after a Leaf game, Leafs and Sabres. Leafs win 3-0 on home ice. I'm sorry, I mean KeyBank Arena, Buffalo. It's not, I wouldn't even call it home ice 2.0. It's home ice 3.0 because there's the
Oh
Sens as
man.
well, right? So like,
Dude, I
yeah.
think the Sens show up more in their barn than the Sabres. I mean, granted, we didn't get to see a Sabres goal today, so we
Yeah,
don't have a great estimation of how many Sabres fans were in the building.
this
But
is true.
man, if you're gonna tell me that wasn't a 75-25 split at least, that is the lowest I'm willing to go in terms like I'm thinking 80-20, but 75-25 is the mark I'm gonna stand at.
I think whatever the jersey split was is separate from the fact, just like the audio split, the cheering
Oh,
split. Like if you're a Sabres fan in that building, you're probably not cheering. Like you're just gonna get destroyed
heckled.
in your own
Yeah,
building, right? Yeah. So
that's
just from
brutal.
a cheering standpoint, yeah, the ratio was bad. Listen, I don't know. Do you have any like crazy takeaways from this game? I
Okay.
think there's one, there's
Before we get
two.
before we
Okay.
get into the game, I did actually have this take. I did bring it up to you. The Sabres do really good game ops. I don't know if you were paying attention. Man, they're like if roles were reversed, okay? And the Leafs had whoever's in charge, which I know will never happen. But it's just like they have so many like just good quality like throwback songs. They put you in a good frame of mind for a hockey game. Like listen, I'm not the biggest proponent of listening to like EDM, especially at a hockey rink. I don't know. Sometimes I don't feel like the two really gel together. Dude, they played and I could hear it. I have like a sixth sense when it comes to music. They played the Arctic Monkeys. They played what was the song called? It's
Oh,
called Brian Storm. Dude, it's like the most hard rock thing in their catalog, and they played it, and it's very distinguishable. Dude, it just works so well for a hockey game, especially in something like so tight, like it was like it was a 1-0 game at that point. Just works perfect. Shout out to the Buffalo Sabres game ops people. That's it. That's all I
they're
wanted to say about
definitely
that.
like we've been on the game ops thing for a
Yeah,
while. Like it was honestly, I think it was our first episode talking about like the atmosphere at the
it
SBA,
was.
and
Yeah.
like we get it to an extent. We get that they just kind of go for this very bland playlist because it's just that you can. It's just the safest option. Screw that. You're right. The Sabres do it well.
They
And
do.
listen, this is the team that does individual goal songs,
That's
right? Like
another
they
thing
know what
too.
they're doing. They've got the little poundy kill jingle when a guy comes out of the box. I know a lot of
Yeah.
teams have that, but like there's personality to their game ops. Yeah, like I especially coming off of the Leafs Devils game, or no, sorry, Leafs Caps game, next gen game. I couldn't tell you what our goal song was, but it sucks. Like
Oh,
it was like it was EDM, but it
that
was
one,
not.
that one
I
in
don't. I
particular is
It's
awful.
bad.
It's
It's
really bad.
really bad. Yeah. So you're right.
I
Like definitely.
I have to say I've liked the I don't mind the switch up. They have the Doop Doop for the most part.
I'm still a big fan of Dupe Dupe.
Big fan of Doop Doop.
Still good on Dupe
Love
Dupe.
it. Love
I
love me
will
some
say though,
Doop
like
Doop,
when you look
dude.
back at like Pursuit of Happiness, like that,
Yeah,
it
I
feels
miss
like
that.
forever ago.
I miss
Like I
that.
do, I right,
I do
right. It
miss
was
that.
like literally like a
I
one
wish I
game
wish we
sample
would have
size,
had
and it was
just 1 year with it. Just give me 1 year with it. But it's fine. It's
yeah.
fine. It's fine. I can live with Doop Doop.
I do like Dupe
Um,
Dupe.
and I have to say, when you hear that, like the chords for Panama by Van Halen
It's good.
during
It's
like those
very good.
original six matchup games, like you score a goal against like the Bruins or the Habs or the Blackhawks, and you
Yeah.
hear Panama playing in the back, it gets you hyped up. And that's how I felt today. It wasn't on home ice, but the Leafs had honestly, I think, just scored. And then all you hear is like some crazy guitar riffs going on. And it's like, yeah, that's what it's supposed to be about. I get trying to appeal to different demographics, but sometimes just leave it. Let it be. Let us have our fun.
We're like already off the rails, so we're just gonna
Oh,
talk about
oh,
tonight's
we are
game, and
so off the rails. Let's
listen.
go. Let's go
I'm
right
gonna keep
into
it.
it.
I'm keeping it a little bit more off the rails, honestly. Before we go back, okay. I will say. I'm gonna defend my EDM, which I am partial to. Okay, it's my guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
There's like a certain type of EDM that works, and it's like
Yes,
more like
for sure.
hypey. Rangers do. I think you agree with this too. That Rangers do a good game ops as well. Their goal song is like it's like similar to Doop Doop. Like it's a generic cheer, but it's a
Yeah.
very hockey cheer, and they have a good mix. I was at a Devils game like 3 4 years ago, and they also have like the EDM hard rock mix. Like
Yeah.
there's genres that work, yeah. Like
There's a
they,
way to
but
do it.
the
That's
Leafs, like the
yeah.
next gen Leafs one, is like too. It's too.
Too
This
kid
sounds stupid, but
friendly.
it's too like innocent. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's too
Yeah.
innocent. It's like, listen,
It's
we're at the
not
hockey game.
threatening.
Dudes are gonna beat each other up.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, give me some threatening stuff.
Let's
Last thing, last thing before we go
yeah.
back on the
Go,
rails.
go, go,
Last
go.
thing.
Go
Okay.
off.
Um, are we gonna get Dupe if the Leafs play the Bruins in the first round? Because technically it should be
Oh.
Panama, right? So
Yeah.
there's a world where we get Panama as the Leafs playoff song against the Bruins. I know we're not like slated to play them right now, but I just thought about that. I'm like, oh my god,
Yeah.
we might get a different song depending on who we play. You know what? We just have to go 2 rounds so we can see Dupe and
Yep.
Panama.
It's fine by
That's the
me.
solution
Hey,
here.
how about that? While we're at it, if we're at 2 rounds, why don't we go another two after that? And then why
I
don't we
you know
just
I
win 16 games, you know?
might as well, like, if you go that far, you might as well go the distance, right? Like
Yeah.
just convenient, you know. Okay,
Okay,
we'll
let's
go
do it.
tonight.
So
I said
who
yeah.
star of the game, dude? Who is your star of the game?
Okay, well, like
Because
I think it's very
it's
as
very
much
clearly,
as much as I want to go like the Leafs best player, Auston Matthews, I'm gonna go with the Leafs best player tonight as Ilya Samsonov. Like
yeah.
he made some crazy saves in that third period. It was a partial breakaway. I think it actually was a breakaway. And he had 2 saves in a row just in a quick sequence that were incredible.
Was
And
it
coming off
Tuck?
of
I know it was
I think
Skinner second, but was it Tuck first that he had the
I
partial
think so
break?
because I remember a guy streaking down the right wing, and that would have been
Hmm.
Tuck.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, like listen, Austin scoring 60, awesome.
Yeah.
We kind of sort of been there, done that, and that's not to say like we haven't seen like Samsonov have shutouts or whatever, but for a dude
The,
who pulled up looking limp and whatever in that Oilers game, I thought it was like a huge confidence boost
oh
to
yeah.
see him just look how he did.
Dude, that might genuinely like how many performances like that have we seen out of Sammy? Like Sammy this is I'm gonna preface that because that came out not the way I wanted it to sound. Sammy has had great games, some fantastic games. That performance, I'm putting in my top three Sammy performances so far in his 2 years of being a Leaf.
I,
Which
I,
I think would have been if you had like shown me that game December 30th, just after the Leafs had lost. I think that game they had lost to Carolina because I think I was at that game. But Sammy wasn't in that. I believe Martin Jones was there. But that was depths of hell, Ilya Samsonov at that point. If you had shown me this game at that point, I'd be like, did you take that video from last season or is that from 5 years from now? Like, I don't even know. Like that's not Ilya Samsonov. What have you done with
yeah,
him? And
can't be him this year.
yeah,
Yeah,
100%. But they showed the graphic up on the thing. I don't know if you caught it. So it was his Samsonov's win percentage before I think it was January 1st. He was he top 10, I believe. So he's picking up wins, which is great. But his save percentage and his goals against average were 45th and 47th in the league. I think there's only 50 qualified starters or maybe 55 qualified starters in the league. Okay? That was abysmal. And it was abysmal since January 1st. First in the league in win percentage. I think it's 12th or 13th in save percentage and 15th in goals against average. What a complete 3-6. Like, is there anything else? Like, what else can I say? What else are we meant to say? Like, the numbers speak for themselves. The games speak for themselves. The saves speak for themselves. I think Samsonov today and for the past, I'm going to go out on a limb, 2 months has been night in, night out, consistently one of the Leafs' best players. Even when he's having an off night, he's still one of the Leafs' best players.
No, I think I totally agree with that. I would I'd probably outline it back to the trade deadline. Since then, he's been a different guy.
Hmm.
And actually, you know what? I wouldn't even say a different guy, just more of what we saw last year. Because I do think we saw this guy at points in time last year.
Yeah.
He was he was actually his consistency thing was road versus home starts last year. I think he was like insane at home and not so good on the road. But no, he's just been straight up consistent since the trade deadline. Outside of Sammy, I'd say probably second biggest story here is the end of the game. The
Oh, yeah.
the 5-man 5-on-5 brawl.
Yeah.
Um,
That
I
looked like a scene out of like, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie The Warriors before. This is an old movie. I don't even know how I'm gonna be referencing this, but it's like a bunch of like gangs in New York, like just squaring off against each other. Honestly, better reference. This looked like a scene. It looked like a scene out of a new Goon movie or like Shoresy. You know what I mean? Like one of those just like full on Tillies. One of those Tillies that lasted like 6 minutes. Like it started at least three different times.
Okay, I'm like never the movie reference guy because I
Yeah.
barely watch
I,
any movies, any TV
as
shows.
soon as the words came out of my mouth, I'm like, this one's going like this.
But hey, but I'm coming with a potential movie reference
Go, go,
here
go. Yeah.
because
Hit me, hit
okay,
me.
dude, I must have watched this like this must have been like grade four, like a birthday party, and we went to the movies to watch Anchorman 2, and there's the end
Ah,
scene where it's just
dude,
all the
that's
Anchorman,
a
right? The
really good
face off.
reference right there. That is a
That's what it
really
was.
good movie reference. You know what? I'm
Let's
gonna
go.
I'm gonna
Let's
mark
go.
it down, Christian, on today.
Yeah,
Good
make
movie
make sure
reference.
make sure you copy this one down. Make sure you never pay attention to my movie references again because it's gonna be a long time in between.
Very few and
Anyways,
far between, that's
listen,
for
you know,
sure.
one for one, I'll take it. Okay. Yeah. So obviously the play that incited this whole thing was Brody in the corner, and I think it was who was it? It was Thompson and someone
Darlene.
else.
Was it not
Oh, it was
Darlene?
Darlene. It was Darlene, right?
Yeah.
And they I think it was Darlene who got him on the numbers and
Mhm.
go just this like, there's no like injury on the play, but it was right on the numbers. Like it's hitting from behind and you get this going on. To me this is just your classic team is down big, time to toss the gloves
Take a
and
pound
just
of flesh.
yeah, and the ref just coming to center ice. I think it was what's his name? Is it Dwyer? I think it's
Cord
Dwyer. I think I
Dwyer.
heard Cuthbert. Yeah, I think I heard Gord Dwyer. He comes to center ice. And he's just like all 5 men on the Sabres and Leafs
10 minutes.
misconduct. 10 minutes.
10 minutes
I was
for
dying.
everybody. Everybody gets 10 minutes. Even the
Yeah,
fans in the stands. You start fighting in the
you got
stands.
it.
10
10 minutes. Yeah.
minutes. Go to the
Oh, yo,
showers.
the way that like Leaf road games go, guaranteed some dudes get more than 10 minutes because I swear there's like a brawl in
Oh,
the stands at like every
dude.
Leafs road game.
I've seen
Like,
I've seen brawls at like 9-2. I was at the game
yeah,
when the Leafs won 8-6 against Carolina for like it was a supposed kids game, and I saw a brawl outside of the then ACC. Like
that's
just
next gen
ridiculous.
stuff, man. It's
Yeah, it
next gen
really
right there.
is. I don't is
Yeah.
it next gen or is that like we're sticking to the NES here, the whatever, the old gen console.
Any thoughts on like Nick Robertson, John Tavares, the other two goal scorers? Anything
Um,
else?
okay, I wanted to say, let me shout out that Bobby McMann, John Tavares, William Nylander line. I thought they were awesome all game. Okay, Willie had a couple of moments for me where I'm like, Will, what are we doing here? But for the most part, I thought they were electric. Never stop, dude. But does Bobby McMann move his feet in his sleep? I swear on my life, that guy never stops moving. When he is on the ice, you will never find him stationary.
Yeah, no
It's
fluff. Yeah.
it's ridiculous, and I love it because he's sneakily quick for a guy that's like six. Is he 6 feet or 6'1"? Like he is
Yeah,
pretty
he's definitely
fast.
over six. Yeah.
Um, JT looking like John Tavares from 2015 again. Like, what a
Nice snipe.
snipe.
Nice snipe. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Will, like, I think
Hey, it was
Kevin
one of my
Bieksa,
points. I said we need to see like early season Will again
yeah.
here for the playoffs, and
Mm-hmm.
we got the flashes, right?
We are definitely seated. I think he was probably better in those early season, all like
Yeah.
in
It
general,
was
night and
yeah.
day. But in flashes, William Nylander, I think Kevin Bieksa highlighted it during the second intermission, where he is showing Will, and we brought it up before, like you just cannot get the puck off this guy. It doesn't matter like if he's off balance, if he's like you are not taking the puck or at least moving him off the puck. When he is in full stride, the only way to stop him is by I forget who took it was Zach Benson that took the penalty. Just trip him up. Like that's the only way you could stop him, apparently.
Yeah. Unless you're bigger than the dude and you're gonna outpower him, good luck.
Yeah.
Um, let's save some more Bobby McMahon talk for at the end of the
Later. Yeah.
episode.
Sure.
Okay, so there was one other game you wanted to talk about from tonight's slate of games. Give us
Yeah.
the rundown of Minnesota Vegas in overtime.
Okay, so it's Minnesota Vegas, like Christian just pointed out right there. It's overtime, and I think we brought it up on an earlier podcast. Were we in Florida at that time? I don't remember. I want to say we did, but I couldn't tell you if we did. Doesn't
Yeah, I
matter.
don't know.
So, Minnesota tried this before, where Matt Boldy scored with it was Marc-Andre Fleury on during that game. He was like they pulled Marc-Andre Fleury in overtime, so they had a 4-on-3 advantage. Did they also have a penalty that game? I don't remember. It could have been 5-on-3. I believe it was 4-on-3 though.
I can't remember. So
Um,
just for anyone wondering, when you pull the net in overtime, what happens? What does that do? What is the significance of pulling the net in overtime outside of it
well,
like
you
sounding
have
ridiculous?
like the team that's pulling it's like pulling your player in regulation, right? But typically you
What's the
see that.
consequences?
Okay,
Like in
yeah,
the
so that's
standings.
yeah, so I was gonna get to that. Hold
Sorry.
up. Hold up there, buddy.
Stepping on your toes here.
Hold up there, bud. So they score on Minnesota scores on the with the net empty. Um, Here's the caveat there. If they didn't, and honestly, I think it was Nashville that they were
Yeah, it was
playing
that.
against. If Nashville had put in the empty net, we found out after, because nobody knew the rule apparently, that you don't get a point. Like typically you're supposed to get a point in overtime at
You'll get
least.
the loser point if you're
You don't
Minnesota.
get your loser point, right?
Yeah.
And the other team picks up the two, right? So it's basically like considered a regulation. It almost feels like a regulation loss. We didn't know that until it happened, and thank God for Minnesota, like the Wild, then that they were able to score on it. And then we found out after, and we were able to like have a laugh. But Minnesota does it again because they are desperate for all the points that they can get. But they do it. Jonathan Marchessault scores his 40th of the year on the empty net. Minnesota leaves empty-handed. Boo-hoo. Probably putting a nice arrow through the knee of whatever playoff chances they had left. However slim they were, they just got a lot slimmer because of that. And I just want to say, is this the best route for like okay, it was awesome to see. Like it was undoubtedly a cool moment when it pays off. But if that's a 1 in 10 chance of happening, is it really worth it at the end of the day to lose the point like that? Like cool, like great. It's entertaining. I like entertainment. But is it really worth it?
If another team does this season, do we clown on Minnesota as much? If another team takes the risk and they screw up on it, I feel like that. I feel like it's only a dumb. We're only going to look at it as completely dumb if it's just Minnesota who does this. If we see
Yeah,
other teams do it, we're
sure.
like, oh, okay, this is just how it works. This is just what teams are going to do when they're in the playoff race. I think my biggest question we talked about right before we got on the pod is this a coach decision? Is this a GM decision? Is this both? Like, what is that? Honestly, it's probably both. Like,
Yeah.
I doubt the coach has full authority to do that. Like, without the GM, not saying like it's not like he has to call the GM like in the commercial break before overtime and be like, "Hey, I'm pulling the goalie." But
Yeah.
like, it's probably something they've talked about
I
just in the recent weeks, right?
like off the top of my head, I think if I were to put a guess, I think the first time that they pulled it, I think you're probably right in terms of it was just the coach's decision. I think it was just the coach, like the coaching staff. They were like, "Well, listen, what else do we have?" Like, I don't know if it was as planned as it was probably tonight. Like now that it's been a couple of weeks since they pulled it off, I'm gonna assume that Bill Guerin's aware that that they have this trick up their sleeve, right? And I think if they were to pull it off tonight, Bill Guerin probably said to I don't even know who the coach is anymore now.
Dude, honestly, I was
Is it
going
John
through
Hines?
because I think it is John Hines. It's either John Hines or Mike Eo. But it's John Hines. It's John
Oh
Hines. You're right.
man. Oh
Yeah,
man. Um I think now I don't know if we're gonna see it again. At least from Minnesota, I don't think we're gonna see it again.
yeah. You're probably right. You're probably right. I'll be curious to see if another team does it though. I will be curious. Okay. We'll leave tonight's action behind. We'll go through a little bit of what happened during the week. Honestly, we're kind of just highlighting individuals here. So we got three names. We're gonna start with Ivan Fedotov, the tallest of the bunch. Uh, 6'7" goaltender. I think he's 6'7", 6'8".
Yeah.
Like he's up there for tallest ever. So Ivan Fedotov has made his way to North America, signing with the Philadelphia Flyers. This is a 2.5 year long saga, I believe, that's finally, I don't know, it's not even coming to an end. It's actually more like starting a new chapter. This is a guy who was going to sign with Philly or had signed with Philly after a season with the CSKA Moscow. So he had signed this deal. We heard about it. And then his team basically said, no, you're not doing that. You can't go yet. You're not, quote unquote, done with your playing time here in Russia. And so that goes down, and he kind of disappears. Not even disappears. We find out that he's basically been
Abducted.
put. Yeah, he's abducted. Like I really don't know how else to put it.
That's
And he's basically
that is probably the nicest way to put it, unfortunately. Like that is
yeah,
quite literally what happened. Like he was forcibly sent to a mining town in the northern part
Siberia, right?
of like Siberia. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like that I checked up the town. The town has 10,000 inhabitants. Like it's
yeah,
one of those, you know, cold
yeah.
place, man.
Definitely cold. Yeah. And so
Yeah.
that happens. He doesn't play all of 2022 and 2023. He comes back to the KHL this year, plays in 44 games, 914 with CSKA. And now we find out that he's made his way to North America. It was kind of hush hush. We didn't really hear about it until it was just about to be done, I guess for obvious reasons in that context. It's just a wild story to think about. I'm excited to see what this guy can do just from like the height curiosity, but also like Philly's in a playoff race here. I like is he gonna make appearances before they during this regular season? I think there's like about 10
Oh,
games left. To put him into that spot would be like it's
that's
gonna be really interesting to see.
I will throw it a guess. He gets sent right to Lehigh Valley, their AHL team. And I think regardless, he might get into, let's say two. He gets into the like two of the last three games of the year. Mid April types of games. I think you have to give him at least one or two starts in the A before you basically throw him to the Wolves. Uh and even at that point, like if you're throwing him to the Wolves in the A because this guy's missed so much time over the last like couple of years due to certain circumstances, I don't even know if you I don't even know if you want to throw him out in the big time, but that's just my guess.
Yeah, I think it's a very curious situation. They also, I think Philly actually signed another Russian goaltender very recently too. So it's two in very quick fashion. They drafted oh now his name's Mike Mishkov, Matvey Mishkov
Mitchkov,
this
yep.
past draft, right? So some we've got a little bit of a relationship going on there, Danny Briere and just some Russian prospects. Just another name to highlight now, Josh Doan. I remember talking about Josh Doan in the preseason because he popped off for the Coyotes, and I thought, man, maybe he will make the team out of camp. He didn't. I thought honestly he deserved to, but he went, did some hard work with the Tucson Roadrunners. I think he was honestly just over like half a point per game. It wasn't like he was lighting up the league, but he finally got his call up. I don't know if you saw the video of Bill Armstrong breaking the news to him. Did you happen to see that or no?
No, I didn't.
It is by far like some of the most boring content you could ever see. Like you think it'd be like some crazy
I
moment. Like
thought you were gonna. I thought
yeah,
you
I
were
know. I
bringing
thought
it
you'd be
up
like, yo,
because it was gonna
it's
be
gonna bring
like,
a tear to your eye. Yeah,
oh,
no,
damn,
dude.
dude.
It's like I feel for like the social media guy who's like, Bill, this is gonna be really cool. Like I'm just gonna record you in the office. You're gonna give the call. Josh is gonna give this great answer. We're gonna throw it up, and everyone's gonna love it. It was like the most dry like hockey conversation ever. Josh is just like, thanks for the opportunity. Looking forward to it. See you soon. Bill's like, yeah, you're gonna, you did some great work. Like it was just, it was
Ugh,
the like most forgettable
ugh,
thing ever. Anyways, what wasn't
ugh.
forgettable was this guy's debut. A two-goal performance in front of his dad, the rest of his family, crowd going wild.
It's it. That's so crazy. Like that's so crazy to me to think of. Like considering the context of what we're about to talk about, how is that like? How is that even possible that it wasn't
Yeah,
like I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it.
it was
I don't
like
even
there was
want to
like,
know.
dude, it was like Bill even he like says this is obviously going to be a great moment for you and your family. Like there was no mention of Shane. It was like as if like he's just another regular prospect. Like I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Anyways,
I get it.
listen,
Yeah,
he had
don't.
a sorry.
Yeah, like snake the guy who snaked your franchise. I get it. It's fine.
Yeah, I don't know, but listen, Shane went crazy in the box. I
He
was
did.
watching his two goals back here. This guy scored two goals on pucks mid-air. Decent
That's wild.
debut.
Yeah.
Yeah. So shout out to Josh Stone. Um,
Did he not
I,
have like 2 assists in like the game after, or
I
like
he
I
did
think he
have
has
two
like
assists in
four
the game after.
points?
He had 4 points in two games. Yeah, they're played the Rangers tonight. I think the game's over. They were down. I think it was like an 8-5 game, another like barn
I
burner
will
type. So
I
don't
will
know if he
check
got
if
some points there.
I'll check that quickly.
Yeah.
Um
In the meantime, we'll get to I'll lay out our last guy here to highlight. It's Trevor Zegras. It's less of a highlight, more of a low light.
mhm.
In a game against Seattle this week, it was a 2-2 game.
Josh Doan
Zegras took a
had
penalty.
Josh Doan did have an assist tonight, so he does. Is that not a
5
point
points
streak
in
for him?
three games. Yeah,
3 game point streak to start his career? Not too
not bad,
shabby.
dude. Not bad, dude. So Trevor Zegras decides that he hates cameras. And he bashes one in while he's in the penalty box during a game against Seattle. Then immediately I honestly I think it's Eddie Olczyk now that's on the Kraken call. He says he's got a lot to learn, and the color commentators just kind of left like speechless. Like he just kind of says and it just kind of peters out. Um, how high or maybe how low on the list is Trevor Zegras for you? Like in terms of like most likable, least likable players in the NHL? Because honestly, he's gotten fairly low on my list.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
I'm a little
This
tired of
year,
him. I'm a
this
little
year
tired of him
has
after this year.
yeah, this year I was coming into this year with much higher like I could have got around the fact that he was getting lowballed by the team. He is still a very good and talented hockey player, but all the stuff that was surrounding him last year, I was really rooting for him to like, just like go out there and just have a great year. Like I know what he can do. And he's come out and he's kind of bitched a little bit. He's not done too well on the ice. He's had some instances, I think, where I've seen him just kind of like give up on plays. Like that wasn't something that I don't think I ever noticed that from him anytime before. Like I remember watching him vividly in the World Juniors. I don't think I've ever saw that guy give up on a
He was
play.
wild in the World Juniors. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Like even his rookie season, he seems like one of those guys that like you have to hold the carrot in front of him and you've got to keep it in front of him. And if it isn't there, he can drift off. We kind of go through that with Willie time to time, and Sheldon actually does a good job of slapping him on the butt and
Yeah,
like
but
getting him back on his carriage.
dude,
But
I don't think
uh,
Willie's ever been like this though.
no, and so
Yeah,
I wanted to go like your description of him there, like saying like giving up on shifts, this and that. Does that not sound exactly like Pierre-Luc Dubois?
yeah,
Like
I
that's
was just about to say, man.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't think it's out of nowhere to like insinuate that because there has been the reports before the deadline that at least teams are calling and Anaheim maybe just doing their due diligence, like they'll listen to offers on just about anyone. So I don't know. It's
Here's
he's
here's my thing. You trade him, you lose the trade. You don't trade him, your team just craters even farther. Like is there a bridge out of this situation for the Ducks?
I think the bridge is to have a decent season next year. Like I think you have one more crack at it with him to repair the relationship, and
Oh
it's by
man.
him being part of a team that is 500 or at least in a playoff race. Like I think they have to look at themselves as Detroit next year. Like that's the only way. Or else I think if he's sour again on another
Ah,
sour team, it's not going to work.
yeah. What options are like where do they do that through?
Hey,
Do they do that through
it's
free agency and overspending to get people to I mean,
no,
granted,
because
it's
they did that last year.
California. Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying. Like they were supposed to be like with all the money that they had spent at free agency, I said, okay, they're not going to make the playoffs, even though the Pacific was before the regular season started, albeit kind of weak. It wasn't my top, like, like, oh man, it's gonna be so tough to get into the playoffs here. But I was like, okay, I think Anaheim could be a just under the fringe bubble. Dude, if you tell me who's been more shambolic, Chicago, San Jose, or Anaheim, I'm willing
yeah,
to guess all three of them. And at the very least, we know what Chicago and San Jose were trying to do.
it's true. I'd say like Anaheim's basically best chance of being good next year is internal growth. That is the one thing they have is
Yeah,
dynamite young dudes outside of
sure.
Zegras too. It's like McTavish, it's Carlson, it's
Yep.
Mintyukov.
Yep.
Um,
And I
it's
think
it's maybe Cutter Gauthier next year.
yeah,
Maybe
I do
that's the
that.
shiny new toy that gets him going
Maybe.
again, right?
I've liked I think McTavish has had some growing pains, but I think he's been fine. Mintikov has been all right. He started off pretty
He was
well,
on
got
fire. Yeah.
hurt, and now he's kind of tailed off, which is unfortunate, but he's also a D man, so it's a bit easier to do that. And who's the other person I meant? We said Cutter.
Leo
When Leo
Carlson,
Carlson. Leo
Cutter,
Carlson's
yeah.
had a good
He's been
season.
great as long as he's been
Yeah,
healthy.
yeah. So there's one person we didn't mention there,
Yeah. Listen,
right?
Zegras has had injury stuff too this year, but I don't know. It's not the body language you want a guy who's supposed to be part of your core
Yeah,
portraying. And yeah, what's their coach's name now? Ben something. I think it's Ben
there's
something.
Greg
Uh
Cronin.
Greg Cronin. Not Ben. Greg Ben Cronin. Kevin Conroy. No.
He is
Yeah,
he is
Greg
quite
Cronin
literally
was
just dude.
Dude Cronin. Dude Cronin was pegged as like a hard nosed guy, the type of guy that you bring in specifically for Zagreus, and
Mhm.
we're yet to see that come to fruition yet. We're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna talk a little bit of Leafs afterwards, and yeah, that's that. See you after the break. All right, we're back from the break. We're gonna
Oh,
talk about the game,
okay. You kind of cut out there for a
but
sec.
we're gonna do a little bit more specific player talk. Bob McDoug and the Milkman Simon Benoit. These are two guys that got contracts in the past couple of weeks from Red Tree Living. Both similar, actually, no, the exact same cap. It's 1.35 mil for both guys. McMahon's got 2 years of term on that deal, and Simon Benoit just signed this week 1.35 mil for 3 years. Benoit was an RFA after this season, so his is a little different. McMann would have been UFA. He's a bit older as well. I think he's 27. So about UFA years there, and Benoit's 25. Um, I just wanted to talk about how we feel about these deals because I don't know if we touched on the McMann thing. First thing I'll get off my chest is as probably one of my biggest misses of the year. Although I don't know like how big it is because it's a fourth liner. Not well, he came in as a fourth liner, but
Yeah.
I said I multiple times. I'm pretty sure I said on the pod that Bob McMann is the most fourth liner to ever fourth line. Like he's the guy. I would have been not afraid to lose him on waivers by the deadline. Like that's how I'd felt about him. I could not have been more wrong. We talked about him off the top. You went into his game. He's been vital to getting this team's offense going outside of the core four.
Oh yeah.
So his deal came first. How did you feel about the McMann signing? And yeah, what would you frame it as a steal? What would you describe it
Okay.
as?
So I really like the deal. Like I really like both deals. I don't know how much I could hate either deal. Here's the thing though, for Bobby McMann, he's at 14 on the season. But
14 goals.
14 goals, sorry, yeah. He's his 14 goals have come in like he's must have played like what 40 games. There's no way he's played more than
48 games,
48
14
games.
goals, 9 assists, 23
Okay.
points.
So that's a lot different than if he had 14 goals coming out of like, he made the team out of training camp. Like that's 14 goals, extrapolate that over an 82 game season. That's well over a 20 something goal pace. That could honestly be touching near 30, right? It's probably less than that. I'm just over exaggerating.
It's somewhere between 20 and 30.
Yeah. So if Bobby McMann becomes a perennial 20 goal scorer, making a mil 35, dude, you are laughing like not even just like a giggle. You are howling laughing all the way to the bank. And here's the thing, like with his play, is it fair to say that I could kind of see it how like he's got some tools. He might not be the craftiest player, but my God, does that guy work hard? Like I said before, that guy does not stop moving his feet, and he is sneakily quick for someone who is like 6'1", and he's a bit of a bigger body build as well. Like he has tools. I really like the deal. Like I don't know how many holes I could poke in that thing.
Yeah. But listen, it's tough to poke holes in a deal when it's like 1.35 million because we're not talking some crazy cap it here. So
Yeah.
even in the event things go wrong, even in the event he's not on the team, like he's back on the Marlies a year from now, that's only 200K against your cap. It's like the Ryan Reeves deal, like in that sense. So, yeah, it's interesting because it feels like basically he inherited all the risk in the deal. It
Yeah.
feels very risk free for the team and a lot of the risk for McMahon. Obviously, like you said, if he continues doing what he's been doing, he'll cash in 2 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is no guarantee. It's obviously still a small sample size. 48 games, like is what we've said he's played this season. I'll give you a player who played 48 games for the Leafs in the 2019-20 season. His stat line was 8 goals, 7 assists, and for 15 points in 48 games. That guy's name was Pierre Engvall. He got paid after that
He did.
year. It was 1.25 mil for 2 years. So paying an extra 100 grand for a player who, unlike Engvall, entering his UFA status season, Engvall was RFA. I think he was 24 coming out of that season. And you're getting a guy with a better stat line than Engvall.
I'll
Different
be
players,
honest,
totally. Like can't even compare their play style. But
dude. Like in terms of just offensive ability, you put Bobby McMann on a breakaway, you put Pierre Engvall on a breakaway. You give them 100 attempts to score, and pick your goalie. I don't care who it is. How many goals do either of them get? I'd be willing to guess that Bobby McMann comes out the other side with probably a hair more goals. Not to say that Pierre Engvall is a bad player. He certainly isn't because he just got paid he's getting paid over the next 7 years, like by like 4.5 or something by the New York Islanders, which is completely insane to me, if I'm being
Yeah,
completely honest with you. That's a wild contract.
3 mil for 7 years.
3 mil. Yeah, that's 7 years
7
is
years.
way too long. I'm
Insane.
sorry.
It's
But
crazy.
whatever. Good for him. He's making his money. I'd be willing to guess that Bobby McMann scores more often than Pierre Engvall. The one thing I never saw to Pierre Engvall was a finishing touch out of him. He had his moments, but it was never consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Engvall's career high season was 2021-22. That was on the Mikheyev line. I think it was
Yeah.
Mikheyev, Camp, Engvall. On that line, he had 15 goals, 20 assists for 35 points in 78 games. So McMahon's 1 goal off.
One goal off of that. So
Yeah. So
yeah.
let's go back one season though. So look, here's the timeline. Engvall has that 48 game season with 8 goals, signs the 1.25 times 2 contract. Going into the next season, mind you, this is COVID, so a little bit of an asterisk there. Plays 42 games, has 12 points, only 7 goals. So he actually regresses a bit. If McMahon gives you the exact same stat line next year, even if it's over an 82 game sample, you're taking that still at 1.35 mil.
Yeah.
So if we're looking at that as the floor, there really is no world where you look where you come out on the down with this deal. Um, let's move on to Simon Benoit, 1.35 mil for 3 years. The comparable for him that I dug up from the Dubas Times is Justin Hall, who
Okay.
signed 2 mil times 3 after his first good season with the Leafs. That was also, I think actually it was also the 2019-20 season.
Probably
Um,
was. That would have
yeah,
been
that was
him
his
and Muzzin,
first.
right?
It was his first full season. I do think it was him and Muzzin. In 68 games, he had 2 goals, 16 assists for 18 points. And I think the key thing there is he was above 20 minutes per game in time on ice. So there's the big difference between Benoit and Hall. Hall was playing 20 minutes a night, and some of that was coming on the penalty kill, and that was probably his biggest strength. Right,
Yeah.
that was where he came in. He was useful. He was where he was the most useful for us. Simon Benoit, I think he's averaging 16 minutes a night. Not giving you that same production that Hall did. Hall's production kind of disappeared, but with Benoit, I think he started the year slow. Then for the majority of the season, he's been great. He's coming back down a little bit, but even once again, it
Dude.
feels like the floor. Like, how do you
Yeah.
come out on the bad side of this deal?
I think the thing with him is that the one thing that he does that Justin Hall never did, or not very, very infrequently did, because I don't want to I'll be honest, as much as many people just downright hated Justin Hall, and he had his moments for me, he was still a serviceable player for the most part. Was it his contract a little bit rich by the end? Yeah, probably a little bit. But I think also that was just in part of him playing way, way, way above his head. If that guy was playing in Simone Benoit's position right now, we'd be like, yeah, Justin Hall's a adequate player. He is fine. Simone Benoit is an adequate player playing in the perfect spot for him. He is playing as your fifth D, right? Maybe he'll fill in a couple of games as your maybe a little bit higher, but he tends to get exposed when he does go up higher in the ice, and that's a big reason why he got exposed in Anaheim. I mean, granted, that entire decor got exposed in Anaheim, including someone who was on the team who's probably never going to be, who could probably never play hockey again in John Klingberg. That whole decor got lit up. They were probably playing like 3 spots higher than they actually should have been. So when Simone Benoit comes into town and this guy is riding, I saw the numbers. There was a lot of red. It was a lot of like 0 percentile, 2 percentile type numbers. I think for the role that Simone Benoit brings, it is a fair, I would argue, good to very good type of deal. It's a tidy piece of business for me, especially getting Simone Benoit at 3 years when the guy's only 20. He must have just turned 25 because I was pretty sure he was 24 for the longest time this season. Um,
He Yeah, well, he was a September 19th.
Was he? Okay, so
Yeah.
that means you're getting him till he is going to be going like to his 29th birthday,
You're
basically.
yeah, you should be quote unquote getting his best years.
Right.
You're getting Benoit's prime. Yeah. Yeah.
And does he also not look like okay, so we brought up Justin Hall. What was another player that we brought up for Justin Hall like having a very good breakout season? It was Jake Muzzin, right? Playing Justin Hall alongside a guy like Jake Muzzin probably helped paper over some of the cracks that not only maybe Justin had, but maybe Jake had. Like they complemented each other pretty well. For the most part, who has um Simone Benoit played with that has kind of propped him up a lot more than maybe he should be, right?
Yeah. But honestly, the way the lineup's been, it's been all over the place. But I'd say like I liked him best when he was with McCabe.
Well, and I would argue he hasn't had that steady person
Yeah.
to do that. If you find somebody steady to pair along, if it's Jake McCabe, it's Jake McCabe. If it's somebody else not on this team currently, or maybe if it is somebody on this, if it's Timothy Liljegren, I think I would trust Simone Benoit right now in a sink or swim type of situation. I would trust Simone Benoit at the very least treads water, which is not something that Justin Hall was able to do for the last 20, let's say 18 months of his Maple Leaf career.
Yeah. One thing too, both of those guys, Engvall and Hall, kind of sort of okay, I won't go as far as non-factors in playoffs.
Healthy scratches. Oh,
They both well, they both had healthy scratches. Yeah.
no, I'm saying like right
Um
now they're both, I think, healthy scratches.
Justin Hall for sure.
Yeah.
Justin Hall for sure. Engvall, I have not kept enough tabs on Engvall to be honest. Yeah. So we'll see. I don't think we're going to be seeing that coming for at least definitely not McMann. And the way that the Leafs blue line health has been recently, probably not for Benoit. Um, we can get into injury talk next episode. Hopefully, we'll have some guys returning. Looking at you, Mitch.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, that's that. Shout out to AHL Shop. Where can you get what jersey do you want to shout out today?
Bobby McDog.
Bob McDog. Where can you get a Bob McDog jersey, Dave? Even though I just
Um,
shouted them out.
I believe that's the NHLshop.com.
I think you're right. Shout out to Razor. Shout out to Fubo. And yeah, check in with us next week for episode 70. Let's go.
Damn, we're getting old.